from across the room. It says we're going live. It says we're going live. It says we're here.
Well, I know I'm here. I'm right here.
Do we really know? Like, what is it that, other than our mind, which can be a figment of our own imagination? So how do we actually know? You just got a very weird ad, but I'm glad you got an ad.
Yeah. That was a weird ad.
Yeah, there's eyeballs on your screen. Ah. Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lord.
John Brownstone.
Loving BDSM. Where we help, what do we do? I don't know. We help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. That's what we do. We're here for our live stream. We record a podcast. The audio version goes out on all podcast apps every Friday. We are here 5 minutes early. If you are here for the stream, but do not like idle chit chat, you got about 5 minutes. If you're here after the stream, but before I put in timestamps, and you don't like idle chit chat, fast forward 5 minutes. I mean, if you've been around here for a hot minute, we all know it's more than that. It's going to be longer than that. But you know, you got to start somewhere.
And thank you. I'm glad you noticed the difference in my hair.
Stop. It's not, the color's actually not coming up right on screen, so I'm going to say hi to folks. Then we'll talk about my hair. Hi, Eva. Hi, Kim. Hi, JB. Hi, Andre. Hi, Mr. Spock. Hello, John Brownstone. Hi, Silent Wing. Hi, Shelby. Hi, Junie. Hi, Blown Deuce. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Rara. I'm scrolling. Hi, Little Miss. I am probably going to screw up your name. Is it... My brain wants to say Adeline, but that could be so wrong. So please correct me. Hello. Yeah, so technically my hair is a purpley pink. It's a purple with like serious pink undertones. In actual natural lighting, the roots are more pinky purple, and the ends are more purpley, maybe a little turquoise still in there with a pink undertone. So yeah, looking at it on screen, it does not look like what I see in the mirror to me. Does it look like it to you? Like, no, you see and then you see. Is it accurate?
It's a little different, yeah.
Yeah, it is a little different. Camera's not picking it up. Lighting isn't great. We think we are back to having, with a different light, the same light shift thing where it looks like it gets brighter and then it gets dimmer. So if you also see that, yeah, we know. We can't. I don't know how we fix it. I don't know. It was a massive ring light, but that was a cheap one. So, yeah. So yeah, we're here. Mm-hmm. We were gone. Mm-hmm. We had some personal stuff between the two of us that we had to deal with, and then we really had to deal with. And then we had an emotional hangover from that,
to say the least. Yeah.
And then we went, you know what? While we are cleaning our proverbial emotional and relational house, let's change other things professionally and personally. And so we've been doing that. We're back. I think we're better. We're certainly better than we were this time last week.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think we're better than we have been in a while.
Possibly.
I mean, I don't know how you would characterize it, but considering I lived with what we were for all the time that we were whatever that was, I believe this is better.
Do not make me spit out my coffee.
You're the one snorting over there. Hey, Mally. So, yeah, we're here. I found this topic that we're going to do like a week or two ago and was so excited. And then when I realized that we just did not have the capacity to talk about it last week, I was also then disappointed. And then I'm excited again. But now I'm nervous that are we going to do the topic justice? I don't know. We'll find out. So, yes, Silent Wing, this coming Friday is the third of the month, and yes, we are doing a live stream, and will it be a demos for dollars? I don't know. I don't know. So what have you got for the butt rub portion? All I got's my hair, and the camera's not picking it up right, so.
I don't even have that. I mean, you know.
You need a haircut.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, only in our world would you have like half an inch of hair growth, and we go, yeah, it's time for a haircut. I think it's just because it doesn't grow long, it just grows up and out. And I know you like it to be like close to your. I like that too.
I know you do. I know you do.
I mean, I kind of like it at this length. I mean, not that I can, quote, run my fingers through it. Your hair just is not. But it's kind of fun to, like, touch and poke. Just saying.
You're a touchy-pokey kind of girl, I know.
Sometimes. If the mood is right. I don't know how well it's being picked up, but I can hear it clearly. Lola is across the room snoring like she's, been working 10 days in a row, all night shifts.
She pulled an all-nighter, what can I say?
Hi, X. So if you hear like this weird little
rumble?
Yeah, it's not even quite. It's like I don't know how to describe it. That's her. It is noon.
Anyway, hello everyone. Thanks for being here.
Glad you got to say that. It's officially 12:01. We will get started. As you can tell from the topic, we are talking about breadcrumbing, as can happen in, I'm going to air quote this word, relationships. That and the difference between the idea of doing, quote, the little things or the small things for a partner in a power exchange relationship. This episode was absolutely inspired by somebody else talking about it. We'll get to that in a minute. But here we are. That's what we're going to talk about. And if you're like, I've never heard the term breadcrumbing, we hadn't either, but we understood the concept the moment it was described. And you probably will too. If you've ever been in kind of a shitty relationship, I'll bet money. You will recognize the meaning once we get to it. If you enjoy this while we're talking about it, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And once you subscribe, go ahead and ring the notification bell to get updates of new content.
Just do it, Daddy says. I will say we are just over, after 10 million years and algorithms who don't like our kind of content, we are just finally over the 9,000 subscriber mark. The next arbitrary goal, because it's a beautiful round number, is 10,000. Would love to get there. Yep. Just saying, if you haven't subscribed, just, help me get to numbers that, only mean something to us. It'd be great. I'm just saying. If you like the vibe, especially of the butt rub or the bonus section, and you want more of that, we would love for you to join our Patreon community. For as little as $2 a month, you get access to a Discord server, an extra live stream each month, behind the scenes podcast, an exclusive video, other stuff. We've gone through some changes in our emotional roller coaster of the stuff, and thankfully 99% of our current kinky patrons have stuck with us. I really appreciate y'all, and have been super supportive. And if you want to be super supportive along with them, you can come join us. Patreon.com/KLords. Link is in the description box. Silent Wing asked, would we have a 10K party? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yep. Okay, I think you can hit the button and we'll go into the 10 kajillion announcements I've got. I need a sip of coffee.
And before we do anything, I'm turning the fan back on.
And I don't blame you. I say right because I had to type it. That fan did not come on. Okay, good. I would be crying if that fan
I double clicked instead of single click.
Oh, you get trigger happy with that finger?
Yep.
Yeah. We know what those fingers do. Okay. Anyway, I have announcements. One, you will probably notice the change probably in October will be when we have it all pulled together, but we are making some slight changes to our content. We are not changing this long podcast episode at all, other than we did have the small hope. JB gently put it out there of maybe we could be more concise in our bonus sections. I mean, we could try. We could try, but I make no promises. I am not known for being concise.
I was actually speaking more in general of
the whole episode.
Yeah,
oh, no.
of all of it. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
all things combined together.
Well, we're pretty when we have notes, we're pretty good on an episode, but we don't always have notes, so. We're working on it. No, I think it's going to start in October. We're going to be adding an extra video / podcast episode each week. It'll be short. If you follow us on YouTube, you'll see the video. If you are a podcast subscriber, it'll be they'll be identical, but one will be for podcast, one will be for YouTube, of shorter content. One of the things JB has agreed, and is the one that suggested it, I did not ask, to bring something we tried to start a million years ago called From Daddy's Desk back. It's a little series where JB, on his own, without me, shares his perspective of a kink topic as a daddy dom. Sometimes just as a dom, sometimes as a sadist, sometimes specifically as a daddy dom. Depends on...
Never know what you're going to get.
You really don't. And so we are welcoming ideas for that. If you are watching the live stream, I never can go back to the live chat easily and find comments. So feel free to use the contact page on our website instead, or leave a comment that is not live chat, if that makes sense. Yep. Podcast listeners, we have a contact page on our website. We have a comment section on the show notes page of the episode. And also we are, however we're connected on socials and FetLife. You can share your suggestions there. The other thing we're going to add, and we had briefly talked about this, I think maybe our last Q&A thing, I don't remember when, but I know we talked about it, of answering a single question in an episode. So like we get a question and we take 15, 20 minutes, I don't know, 10 minutes, I don't know. We already know I'm not good at concise, to just answer that one question so it can kind of live as a standalone.
Yeah.
For that, we have a page on our website where we would like people to submit the questions, because that way I can actually keep up with them. So that link is in the places. If you have a question, we will keep you anonymous. I think the way I set it up is you don't even have to put a name, you just have to put an email address, so it'll come to us by email. So yeah, we're not gonna name names or air anybody's personal details other than here's the question that you asked. So yeah, we are gonna be bringing those things out ideally in October. That is the plan. Also, excuse me, next announcement, this Friday, September 15th, so for podcast listeners, it's the day this episode goes live, we are doing our Friday night live stream virtual munch Q&A thing.
Correct.
It starts at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Unless something goes horribly wrong, we try to last until midnight, so there's time for folks to kind of come in and out. That is on YouTube. It's publicly available to everyone. Because we upended our Patreon situation abruptly this month, when we usually do it, any changes we make are usually in January, we're going to be doing an extra live stream for patrons only this month. The date and time are still to be determined, but that is happening too. So if you're like, no, really, I want even more of you, feel free to join our Patreon. You'll get an extra one. I think that's it on announcements.
Sure.
That's what I wrote down. So if I forgot something, well, I just forgot something. Okay. So let's get into the episode.
All right.
On the idea of breadcrumbing, which we will define, don't worry, versus the idea of doing small things in your power exchange relationship. This episode was inspired by, be shocked y'all, an Instagram reel. Although Instagram has deactivated and kicked me off of their platform under my personal account, I still have 3 brand accounts, damn it, and I can watch reels. So I came across a reel by a person named Isaiah. I think their last name is Frizzell, is how I would pronounce it based on spelling. I've linked that reel if you would like to watch it. It was just this conversation about here's what breadcrumbing is, and here's what doing the little things can look like, and here's how they're vastly different. And I watched it and I went, oh yeah, that's a conversation for DS relationships and power exchange, because while I didn't know prior the term breadcrumbing, I certainly knew what the fuck those actions were. And I have been the recipient of enough panicked, sad, frustrated, angry emails, typically from submissive partners, but not always, where they describe essentially breadcrumbing. And they're like, but my partner, they remember to do this. And then, and it's like, I'm kind of glad I have the language now, but also if we get messages about it, that means there's lots of people who go through it. So let's start with breadcrumbing, because that's a thing to define and explain and whatever.
What is breadcrumbing?
There you go.
What is breadcrumbing?
You see? Can you say it?
Blah,
right?
blah, blah.
And,
say that fast 10 times.
and being concise has gone straight out the window. So I had to go to the interwebs to help me succinctly define it. I have linked to a couple of places where I found more information if you'd like to read that. So I've got two definitions here. One is that in a relationship context, breadcrumbing refers to a person who gives you just enough crumbs of attention or affection to give you hope and keep you on the hook, but not enough to make you feel comfortable or assured that the relationship is going well. The other definition I found that I liked is breadcrumbing is a behavior in which one partner essentially gives the other partner just enough energy, time, attention, affection, or words of affirmation that provides some of the elements of being in a romantic relationship. However, the other partner who's receiving the crumbs is left still wanting more and being unsure of their place in the relationship. So let's talk about what that can look like in general, but specifically power exchange. I am thinking of, and they all run together because I've gotten so many over the years, of the messages where somebody says something like, well, they don't talk to me every day even though I've asked, and sometimes they'll go 4 or 5 days without a text message or a phone call or communication, and then they'll say all these amazing things and make me feel like an amazing person, and I'm like deep into this power exchange, but then I don't hear from them for like a week. Like that, or the other one, and this one, and I think breadcrumbing can have lots of reasons for it. So I'm not saying when this happens, it's breadcrumbing and that's all that it is. I think there's more to it, but I also think of we negotiated our power exchange. My partner knows how important it is to me. It's the only way I can be in a relationship, and so I'm gonna pretend the submissive side. They dominated me the day we talked about it. We did a scene and it was amazing. But now it's been weeks and they're not remembering or they're not doing it or I have to beg for it.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a type of breadcrumbing that is also tied up with a lot of other potential things. I don't think it's just breadcrumbing on its own, but I do think it's a form of breadcrumbing. Like, I'll give you a little bit of the kink that I've agreed to do, and then I'll forget, or I won't want to, or I'll go, what are you talking about? And and then when you get mad or you act like you're going to leave, I'll give you a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it also can very easily. I think I've seen it a lot where it falls into power exchange as well. Rules and protocols are set in place, and next thing you know, there's a minute like, well, I haven't been doing my stuff, but he hasn't noticed. Just here and there occasionally he kind of calls me out on stuff, but
yep. Oh, absolutely. And I think that can go, it's really easy because I get most of the messages I see tend to be from submissives. It's really easy to go, oh, it's a dominant problem thing. It's a person thing. I think depending on how it's presenting, it's either I'm not actually that serious about power exchange dynamics, but I don't want to let you go, or I don't want to be rejected, or I don't know what their motivation is. Or it's I'm not actually serious about this relationship, but I got nothing better going on and I'll just string you along.
Yeah.
When I look at it again, there's layers to this of what is happening and why it's happening. But even in non-kink, I think in non-kink relationships, most of us can go, oh yeah. In my own first marriage, like, it was when I was threatening divorce. It was when I was saying, and this happened multiple times over the course of really a 12-year relationship. The only time my then partner stepped up and did the things that needed to be done to fully participate in the relationship was when there was a threat of
of ending said
Right.
relationship. Yeah.
And so it was like, let me just do just enough to keep you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're happy and we're back to like
Then things start tapering off.
until my frustration builds to the point
Mm-hmm.
where we're back in this cycle of, I need you to participate. I need
Right.
these things in order for this relationship to continue. And it was a little sad, but also hilarious from my vantage point now, that by the time I was so far done that that conversation was over, the breadcrumbs were not going to work for me. He went all out. He was doing everything at the like I had said, I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. I'm out. I'll give you time. Like, I'm not kicking you out, but I'm out of this. Then he did everything I had been begging for over a decade. And then was complaining to like family and friends that, I'm doing all these things. Why, it wasn't enough anymore. So like,
Too little, too late kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, where were you 10 years ago? I'm not mad about it now. My life wouldn't look like this now, but in the dynamics of an existing relationship, we might not think of it as breadcrumbs, but I think it's the same. So I think you can have an established power exchange relationship where you've agreed to everything, and then one partner continually fails to uphold their end of the agreement, but they're not communicating with you, they're not making efforts, they're doing just enough to keep you on the hook. So you're like, maybe they'll change.
Yeah.
And I would say, if you're like, am I being breadcrumbed? If one of your thoughts, and this is outside of toxic abusive situations, but like, it's just not a great thing and you're unhappy. If you're constantly going, well, maybe they'll change, or maybe this one conversation will give me something consistent, or maybe if I do just this one, I think you might be, is all I'm not saying you are, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you might be, because it's the whole point of, they sprinkle just enough to keep you thinking, oh, we're on the right track now. Oh, I'm getting what I need. Oh, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they like mentally or physically wander the fuck off. And you're like, but nothing's consistent.
Right.
Nothing is as we agreed. Nothing can be counted on. And that, I think, is the point of breadcrumbs in whatever form they show up in.
It's true.
Have you ever been breadcrumbed, or have you in your youth breadcrumbed somebody?
I do not believe I've ever been breadcrumbed.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. And I do not believe I have ever breadcrumbed anyone.
So, in situations, relationships, potential relationships, could have, might have been, if we kept going for, not you, me, we, but the royal we, have you found it, I won't say easy because it's never easy, but have you been willing to just have that hard conversation? Because that's what it comes down to. This isn't working, or I don't know what I want, or I'm conflicted, or whatever. Like, you can fill in the blank Mad Lib style of what might cause a person to go, I don't want to fully let you go, but I also am not fully committed. Have you consistently been just able to have those conversations, or to just break it off? Like, how has that gone?
I mean, you go, I have both broken off relationships and had relationships broken off.
Right, but
you know,
you're in general like, let's just end this. What are we doing? You're not
not to lead somebody on, no.
Right, and I think
no.
I also think, to me, even if it's unintentional, even if a person is not self-aware enough to know what they're doing, I think breadcrumbing is manipulation. I'm literally giving you just enough so you will do what I want you to do. You will stay here. You will give me your attention. You will, call me your dominant, submissive, whatever. Yeah, to me it's, and I look at you and I think, I can't imagine you being manipulative. I have never purposefully breadcrumbed, but I have been years ago, not even quite a legal adult yet. And then prior up to 20, I have absolutely been the one who didn't want to say the hard thing. And so I would try to withdraw enough that the other person would want to break up with me so that I didn't have to say the hard thing. I'm not proud of it. But I was also like 19 and stupid. So, and I think that in some situations, there could be some elements of breadcrumbing where you're trying to pull away, but then they like show up and go, hey, where are you? And then maybe out of guilt or out of whatever, you're like, well, let me give you a little bit. Okay, we'll go on that date. Yeah. Okay, I'll call you. And then you try again. It's still a form of manipulation. It just say the fucking hard thing. I don't want to be with you. Yeah. However, I do think there are people who use breadcrumbs to their advantage so they can, especially in power exchange, I'm thinking of the toxic air quote like DOMs that we come across. Submissives are capable of it too, where they'll give you just enough of the power exchange so they can, I don't know, have the ego trip that they're part of this dynamic, especially the air quote DOMs, you know, who are like, oh, I'm a master, I'm a DOM, blah, 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 but they're not actually putting any of the work into it. And in some, not all cases, they're stringing along several people, typically online. All these people think that they're connected, but all of these people are left second guessing, like, wait, I thought a dynamic was something different than this, or wait, you said you'd do all of these things and I would do all of these things, and then none of it's there. And at that point, it's a power trip, it's an ego trip. Right. And it's extremely manipulative, and it absolutely can be toxic. So I think there's, as with all things, like a huge spectrum of clueless people with really bad communication skills who just they know what the right thing is, but they're just not doing it, versus, you know, egotistical, gross people who are like, this makes me feel good, fuck the other person and how they're feeling. But yeah. Anything else you would say about breadcrumbing? I'm looking at my notes. Okay. So yeah, maybe some examples of breadcrumbing. We kind of touched on it, the idea of, well, I'll give you a little bit of dominance. I'll give you a couple of rules, but then I won't follow up with the rules. Right. Or I'll say, hey, you have these things you need to do, and if you don't, there will be consequences, whatever. Then you don't do them. Yeah. And I'm nowhere to be found to like actually follow up. Now, that is not always breadcrumbing. Sometimes it's overwhelm. Sometimes it's people agreeing to a dynamic that they don't actually feel like is right for them. I mean, how many times have we come across a person who's like, well, my partner wants me to be their dominant, but I'm not really into it, but I don't want to end the relationship. And so they kind of just half-ass it. Like sometimes it's just half-assed. It's not breadcrumbs in the manipulative sense. It's just not willing to have the fucking conversation, but you do just enough to temporarily keep a partner happy, and then I go back to, I think that's still breadcrumbs, even if the intent behind it is different. True. Yeah. Sorry, Did you blank there for a second?
Yes, I did.
Did you blank there for a second?
I did.
Other things that I have seen that I would call breadcrumbing. Let's not pick just dominance. Submissives can do it too. Oh, you gave me all these rules. I'm only going to follow them if I've got your full attention. And this is not bratting in the I'm trying to get punishment, or this is a game we're playing. Like there is a distinction.
I think there's a huge distinction between a brat and breadcrumbing.
Absolutely. Because I think it's the intention behind it as well. Right. It's like, I'm going to do just enough as your submissive that you'll still call me your submissive, but I'm not going to put in all of the other effort required. Right. Oh, you're paying attention? Okay, maybe I'll do some of it. Oh, you're mad at me? Okay, maybe I'll do some of it.
Because if you're, if you are someone who is involved with a brat that wants to be involved with brat and likes to be involved with
that's brats, a whole other conversation. Sometimes you're a brat and the other person's like, I did not sign up for a brat.
Right. When you are in that situation, you consensually know what you're getting into.
Right, and it's meant to be a give and take. So both partners are
and both want that push and pull.
Right, exactly. Breadcrumbs is I keep seeing the crumbs that get left behind on the kitchen table. You know what I'm talking about? Like on our personal kitchen table. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's just like, you just like flick them off. They're like, here.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter at all to the person doing it. What matter? It's not, there's no meaning behind the breadcrumber's actions other than, let me make sure this person is still with me. You know, they're not going anywhere. I've given them just enough. And what ends up happening is, you know, based on all of the messages I've received over the years, and this is the most common thing, I wish I had known the term years ago, you know, it leaves the other person, it's not technically gaslighting, right? But in a way, maybe, because the person is left questioning the reality of the relationship. Like in their gut and heart and soul, they know this is not right. This is not what relationships are supposed to be like. But this other person is giving them just enough, so it's the taste of a relationship. And so then they're questioning themselves. They're like, "Wait, is this?" When they're present, they do the good things, but then they don't. Now, and what am I in? And what am I doing?
Do you think that gaslighting and breadcrumbing kind of go?
No, because actual gaslighting is making somebody else question their reality. Like, they literally think they're crazy.
That's true.
So you deny what they're saying, their reality. And so that's why I want to be careful using the term gaslighting, because in a way, yes, because the reality is this is not the power exchange relationship you think it is.
Yeah.
The other person is saying all the right things so that you think that it is. Right? Maybe they've gone through the motions of negotiating a power exchange with you. Maybe they've gone through the motions and said some of the right words, but there's no action behind the words. Or you get just enough action from them, just enough conversation, just enough of something that you're left going, well, in these 5 minutes, it was amazing, but it's not consistent. And I'm not sure. And is it me? And the question I see most often in these situations, am I doing power exchange wrong? It's like, by expecting your partner to be a partner? No. No. And so on the edge of what gaslighting is technically, I think there's some overlap, because truly people are like, well, I'm in this power exchange relationship, except I'm the only one fully participating. The other person is sprinkling just enough fuckery or enough control or enough rules or whatever, that I think in those moments, hey, this is it. This is what feels right. This is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And then they vanish, or they just stop doing the things. Maybe they're still physically present, but they're not engaging in the power exchange, and they're not talking about it. You know, the thing with breadcrumbing, I would say on a very technical aspect, is, in general, is it definitely breadcrumbing? The person's not emotionally invested in the relationship with you.
True.
Their ego might be there, like being stroked and, being part of this and saying they are. There might be something else that you do for them that they don't want to let go of yet, whether it's, the access to whatever, whether it's sex, whether it's something else. There's some element that they're willing to string you along for. And that's the only reason, and they'll give you just enough of what will keep you there, right? In the situations where it's an established relationship and the actions are kind of breadcrumby, I think there may be there's more layers to it. I think it's okay to go, I'm not going to be breadcrumbed. This is not worth it to me. I don't care how long we've been together. I think that's valid. I also think that it's valid to go, do you know what you're doing to me right now? Like, is this what you're intending? Or are you too afraid to have a hard fucking conversation and just tell me you don't want this? Or just tell me that something is not right? The one I see the most often, based on the messages we get, is usually, from that vantage point, usually the air quote dom, who's probably online only, knows all the right words, likes the power trip and ego trip of the semblance of control, but bears none of the responsibility.
Right.
Has no connection to the responsibility of it at all. That's what I tend to see. What would you add? Because I've had plenty to say, as we all know.
You have plenty to say?
Shocking.
No, I agree with everything you said. Not much more I could add to it, I believe. But, yeah.
So let's talk about doing the little things in a relationship then. Because I have seen people who are being breadcrumbed go, oh, but they always remember the little things. And that's fine. But what makes the little things, in my opinion, is that the big things have already been done or are being done continually.
Yeah.
And so then that means the little things get to be sprinkled on like a little extra seasoning, right?
Well, I have always been one to feel that the small things do matter.
Absolutely, I think they matter.
Okay. Sometimes it's the small things that speak the loudest.
Sure. The small things are the things that say, hey, in the midst of life, I'm thinking of you. I saw this thing and it reminded me of you.
Yeah.
I thought of you and I wanted to make you smile. I thought of you and I want to connect to you in a, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that is on top of the bases are already covered.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, while the little things are important, yes, they do need to be backed up by the bigger things.
That's what makes them the small things.
True. So, that has to go, they have to go hand in hand. If there's just a sprinkling of small things here, a sprinkling of small things there, no, that's not going to cut it.
No, because the big things are consistency and trust and responsibility and integrity and communication and consent. They're the things that allow you to be vulnerable with one another.
Right.
They're the things that allow emotional attachment to grow. They're the things that, and I say this as somebody who was once this very anxious person who didn't believe good things could happen to me. So I'm speaking to those of you who maybe feel this way. It's the stuff that allows you to, at some point, your brain to go, oh, wait, this person really means it. They keep backing up their words with actions.
Right.
I'm not sitting in perpetual doubt, not because of my own issues. That's a whole thing. That's your, but because of what they're doing. Like, I can, as an individual, be a hot mess and not trust the good thing I have in front of me because of my own past experiences. That's one way of being, and I have been there. The other is, I can't trust it because your actions are inconsistent. Your actions are not about building something together, and sometimes I think we get confused of, am I not trusting myself because of what's happening to me?
Yeah.
Am I not trusting myself because I know I got bad tapes and I relay everything back to this, trauma or just bad relationship or whatever. Figuring out the difference between those two, I think, will open a lot of, it lets light in. Because once you can see, wait, I'm not feeling away because of my past and the things I still need to work through. This is about what they are or are not doing in this relationship. And so then the small things can be very important. I agree with you. But they can exist. They exist as a added layer.
It's part of the whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that our recent issues, I don't know what the right word is for everything, we had not done small things consistently for each other in a very long time. And I don't think just a lack of small things led to the problems we were having.
No.
I think the problems we were having individually and together lowered the initiation of small things. When we were in a complete disconnect, and we have been before, we've talked about those moments before, this is one of the worst.
Yeah.
We were in a state of total disconnect from one another. So we were not even primed and ready to see the small things.
No.
Oh, let me get my daddy this special coffee because I can. Oh, let me get baby girl a Diet Coke while I'm out. And for us, I don't know how it is for anybody else going through something similar, but here's how bad we were. When one of us might mention a potential small thing, of that, not asking for it. Like, I don't think I have asked you to bring me a Diet Coke home in ages.
Quite a while, correct.
But there was a point where you had gone somewhere and I went, oh. And it was because in another timeline, you would have brought the Diet Coke home. If you don't know, that's a small thing that makes me very happy. Thanks.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned something about it, and your response, because we were so disconnected, was to get defensive. Alternatively, I do not want to make it sound like you were like the bad guy. I forced you to accept a coffee you did not ask for.
Right.
And I could say, like on paper, I could go, well, I was just taking care of you. I wanted you to have this. I'm trying to do a small thing for you. No, it was not. Small things to me are done because you notice something, you hear something, you see something comes into your frame of what's happening in front of you, and you connect it with your partner and go, that would make them happy. That would help them. That would alleviate a stress. This would take something off their plate. Like these small things that don't negatively impact you. We're not trying to break ourselves over here to help our partner. That's a different kind of conversation. That is not a small thing. You know, it's this thing that you don't have to do. It doesn't change the outcome of anything. It doesn't change the direction of your relationship. But you know it would make the other person happy, help them. Like, fill in the blank of whatever that would be. And I remember it distinctly. I got you a coffee you did not ask for, and then got really pissy when you were not thankful for said coffee. We were in a real bad disconnect, y'all.
Yeah.
And
we were.
I think in retrospect, small things are a little bit like the canary in the coal mine. You know?
Yeah.
If you're used to having them, and if you're used to doing them for one another, and we have always been that way.
That's true.
When they go away, sirens should have been going off. Or when you don't think of those small gestures with any level of gratitude, either as the giver or the receiver, think that alarm bells need to be going off at that point. Small things are signs of affection. They're tokens of love, whether that's, platonic love or romantic love. It doesn't matter. I saw this and I thought of you. I can help you and I want to. I can do, it's a, small things are forms of, are extra layers of connection, but they only function when the base layer of your relationship is fairly solid. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You could be building it. You could be working on it. From the very beginning, we've done small things for one another. Yeah. Or things we considered small that the other thought was really big. I helped you buy a Mother's Day present from your mom.
You did.
Our very first, we'd known each other 6 months. And to me, it was a small thing. It did not negatively impact me. It made your life a little easier. I went, sure, let's do this. You were blown away.
Yeah.
You sent me flowers and a necklace for Valentine's Day, and I'm like, I haven't even figured out my feelings yet. What the actual fuck? And for many people, you'd go, that's a huge gesture. But for you, you were like, no. I knew they would make you smile. I knew you would like it. Ta-da, done.
Same.
And we were still building the foundations.
Right.
Which did make the small things feel a lot bigger because we hadn't quite established our, comfort zone of this is who we are.
Correct.
This is how we function. What are some small things that you have either done or have had done for you that stick in your mind?
When you do get me a coffee, okay. Some of the other things are like when you are, well, I know you've been doing the dishes for a while. Let me take care of the dishes tonight. Give you a break.
Yeah, because normally the rule is if you cook, you don't have to do dishes.
Right.
Sometimes, though, there have been and typically that works out well because by the time I'm done, I'm like, please don't make me cook anymore. Then I can we tag team and
tag team.
But life had been weird for 3 or 4 days where I hadn't cooked for 3 or 4 days, but you would still somehow, or not really cooked, maybe I made a sandwich or something, and you ended up doing dishes for 3 or 4 days, and I was just like, it's no big thing to me to do dishes to. Air quote this, cook. I didn't cook that night. I think it was leftover night or something. I heated it up in the microwave. Didn't take the same kind of energy. I was like, I'll do dishes. Now, prior to our dust up last week, our implosion, if you will.
Yeah, implosion. That's a good, yeah.
You almost couldn't have paid me. If this was my day, this was my fucking... Do you remember the tiff we got into about 2 weeks ago over that?
Yeah.
It was the exact same situation, but I was like, I have cooked for 5 days. I'm so sorry you've had to put dishes away for, I think it was like 3 of those 5 days. Like, it was something weird. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I was pissed that you wanted me to switch. Oh, gee, in retrospect, it was really obvious things weren't quite right with us.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. What else?
Trying to think what else. Well,
I can think of one I've done for you. And it became a task. So here's how Power Exchange can be so fun. Do you remember when I just started putting your probiotic out for you because you kept forgetting to take it?
yes.
And so I'd pop mine out of the little pack thing and I would take yours out. Now here's what's funny. Here's how, especially in Power Exchange, man, these small things can turn into something. So just be careful is what I'm saying. So I started doing that. He didn't ask me to. I just did it and I always put it in a place that was, because I was like, we both need this probiotic. We're of an age. We need a probiotic. But he's not taking it consistently. And then he's complaining about his stomach. Let me give him his probiotic. And I did it, and it was not a task. I was not obligated to do it. But here's how it became a task. The one time I didn't, your feelings were so hurt.
Where's my probiotic? Where's my probiotic?
And yet it was pre-implosion by a few months, and I was like cranky for a minute. Because I was like, it was a nice thing I was doing for you. What the hell? She said with love in her heart. But then we did turn it into a task. Yeah. Because that was an expectation thing. Like a one-off small thing or a thing you do, the general you. Something that is done periodically but without the pattern to it. That you can't really expect. You like it if it's replicated, but there shouldn't be much of an expectation. But I was literally doing this daily, so I was setting that expectation like you had gotten to like turn that part of your brain off and not think about, wait, I have to get my probiotic out. And when I took that away, because I had set the stage for that, I had just done it every fucking day for weeks. And the one day I got tired, I went, well, it's not a task, but I didn't think about what the gesture would have meant to you. Man, I think this episode is more about how we fucked ourselves up for several weeks. I didn't think about the impact. So I would say on the small things, just as the personal experience, little FYI, if it ends up being something that you do consistently and regularly and y'all aren't talking about it, you can each have different expectations for what that thing means. Have a conversation. That's all I'm saying. Decide. Because it wasn't argument level, but like both our feelings were hurt from opposite sides of the spectrum on that one. The little things I think of, and it really has been a while, but that's okay. I've been getting my own, so it hasn't mattered. Is when you bring me home a Diet Coke, or when you call me from a place, you're like, oh, I'm going to stop and get coffee. Okay, I would like, let me text that to you. Or when you're like, the other day you did it. It really was my turn to do dishes, and you went, I'll do dishes tonight. And I was like, oh, thank you. You know, or, oh, I see. This is it's boring stuff. It's not always, it's very rarely kinky, because we're people who live together and have, built a life together. I have a little trash can over by my shipping area.
Yes.
And I've gotten into a habit of asking you to take it out for me. It's not that I'm incapable. I'm just lazy. But my favorite is when you go, oh, that's really full. Let me take that out for you. I'm like, thank you, Daddy. For me, a small thing, and the small things that end up sticking with me, even if I don't remember like the exact action, are the things that make me feel cared for as a baby girl. Now, the things you sometimes try to do that hit me in my service sub feels, I get very conflicted about that. Because sometimes you'll offer to help on something. Right. I'll do this chore, I'll do this task, you don't have to. That is very centered in my service sub identity and heart. I actually struggle with letting you do those things. I'm like, but this is what I do in service. This is part of my task list. What are you saying I can't do it? Or are you saying you don't want me to do it? And then it's a whole thing, and I'm sure I've just taken all the fun out of doing a small thing for me.
I love you so much.
Do you think about it in terms of that, or are you just thinking, she looks tired, maybe I can help her? Like, does it hit you in the dom feels, or?
I mean, sometimes it's frustrating when you do that. Okay.
I live to frustrate you, Daddy.
Because, I know you have so much going on with this family, the things that you juggle.
Sure.
Okay. And, I offered to do something to help you in any way I can, and then you're like, but that's my job.
I know, and I wish I could explain why.
And then you turn around and say, nobody helps me enough.
That is also true. You're right.
So
you cannot win, no matter what.
Frustrating.
You know what? I'll say this: if I've already done the mental calculus of everything I know I need to get done, in what order and how I'm going to do it. And I think we've had this conversation before on another topic. Like, I've already mapped it out in my head, and I just have to get from point A to eventually point Z. Having somebody take a step of that out throws off the calculus. So for me at that point, I'm in just follow the path kind of. I know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, in what order, and there's this whole like rhythm to it. And so when one thing is plucked out of, I'll take care of that, I have to stop and go, okay, let me reconfigure.
And restructure everything.
And also some things in that moment, especially if I'm going through a task list and I'm thinking, it's not always, I should say, that I'm like thinking about things through the service submissive lens. Like, I'm not like, I don't just live in this mindset all day long. I'm walking around going, I'm a service submissive.
And that kind of makes sense. I understand that. When
I'm in a mode of, this is my service submissive time, or this is, gameplay level 30 for service submissive, and let's go do it. I'm like, but wait, this was a thing I felt fulfilled doing. Don't take that out. I don't know how to warn you when I'm in that mode. I don't know. I think what it might come down to is having a conversation about something, and this makes it hard because small things tend to be, what's the word?
Spontaneous?
Yes, you see it and you go, ta-da, right? And I think that when it comes to things that I hold dear to my heart because of our power exchange, I'm going to do better with not the spontaneous. I'm thinking about this, what can I do to help her out? She is clearly like, on edge, but let me notice it and think about it much earlier. And I don't know. I think the other thing is I can just be more gracious. And I am trying to be more gracious, but I'm also extremely honest with you, and I will tell you exactly. Like, I know it would probably be nice as both just a human and a dominant if you had a partner who you could say, "Hey, I'll do that for you, baby girl," and she would just go, "Thank you, Daddy," and move on.
No,
not graced with that.
I've got the Scorpio bitch from hell,
who's got opinions and believes in clear communication, good, bad, or otherwise. I've gotten so used to just telling you what I think that I'm just going to tell you what I think. No, I do believe that being aware for myself, like I know that my reaction, if the thing you're helping me with is actually one of my tasks, my submissive tasks, I know I'm going to have that reaction of, but my heart can't take it. This is my thing. But if I am thinking about it clearly ahead of time, and we have this conversation where you tease me about it, I am better prepared to go, oh, that's right, he's doing a little thing, and he's actually trying to help, and just, like, I don't always function that way in the moment, unless I've spent the time ahead of time going, this could happen, and when this happens, just take a deep breath, redo the math, find a new path forward, and say thank you, and be gracious. I'll say this, that's another thing about the small things and the little things, and when they're happening or when they're not, or when things are rough for the relationship. When we're good, and we're well connected, and we're like a well-oiled machine with one another, there's lots of appreciation for those things. When we're not, there is not as much appreciation as there should
That
be.
is true. That is
Which
true.
the hard part about that is when you're not appreciated for the things you're doing. Like Tayshu, I think, said it in the live chat, like small things are done without the idea that it's supposed to be reciprocated. Like
without expectation of
right. And
yeah.
I think that's correct and good, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I also think, and we've done this in the on episodes on gratitude, I think if you're doing small things and your partner is not showing any level of gratitude for it, it makes you not want to do small things after a while.
Right.
Like we might not do it because we're going to be thanked for it, but we also want to know that we're seen.
I think as a human being, you not expect, but enjoy knowing what you're doing is appreciated.
Right. Exactly. And if you're like, let me take the temperature of my relationship right now, I now know that one method of checking the state of our power exchange is how much gratitude is going around. And when there's not, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Small things can be a great way to sort of check on the state of your relationship, I think.
Right.
Like, are they being done at all? Or are you doing them with an open heart and a willing heart, and because you just want to make somebody happy, and getting nothing in return, not feeling seen, not feeling fulfilled? Are you... Yeah, I think this is where breadcrumbing in a relationship, you want to be careful, because do the small things because you want to help your partner, make them happy, do something nice for them, make their day, like whatever. But if you're only doing small things because you're like, oh, if I do enough of these small little things, I will, get a reward at the end. I don't know if we can call that breadcrumbing. It might be something else, but it's also manipulative.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I know there are people who do it because there are people who do everything. If you can conceive of it, somebody is doing it.
Gonna do it.
I think breadcrumbing is probably more common and typical as you're trying to establish a relationship. In the maybe still getting to know one another, trying to move forward towards something. Certainly the way it's talked about in non-kink contexts, it's very much I'm stringing you along, right? Like, I'm not telling you we're dating, but I'm going to do all the things that make it look like we're dating. Yeah. I'm not going to commit to you and, have you in my life in some permanent way, but I'm sure shit going to do things that make you think that's where we're headed. Like, I think that's a very common understanding of breadcrumbing outside of kink. I think within kink and power exchange, especially because of how that power imbalance is negotiated, I think it's a lot more insidious, and it sometimes takes longer to figure out that you're dealing with breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Because if you took all that time to negotiate a power exchange, you're thinking, hot damn, we're in something.
Right.
Whatever label you put on it, whether it's a long-term relationship, hopefully, or if it's something serious, or you're still trying to be casual, whatever. I think for most of us in kink, once we've gone through the negotiation part of what we think we know what we're going to do together, there's a sense of commitment and seriousness to it. And I think it might be harder to see the breadcrumbing. And so then it's like, oh, well, they remember to do all these small things and they always make me very happy. Okay, but have they done the big things? Past the, hey, we, negotiated this power exchange. Negotiating the power exchange is important, and it's a
Correct.
big thing. But actually then living the power exchange,
following through with
and doing the things you said you were going to do, that is way bigger and takes way more commitment.
Yeah.
And I when somebody's like, well, are they doing the little things and I'm not being appreciative, or are they breadcrumbing me? I think that's where you start with, like, what's your foundation? What's the relationship looking like? And if you are tempted to do a bunch of, quote, small things, I'm sure that's probably what somebody would call it to themselves. I'll do all these small things and they'll keep loving me. Well, but are you doing the big things? I go back to my first marriage. X was not doing any of the big things. Not at all.
Yeah.
And then when I was pushed to my limit, they would do just enough of the things I needed to kind of like get me to shut up. That I don't know. Do we need another term? I think it's breadcrumbing, but I think it's just a different kind of form. Because then the person who's like, well, we're in this relationship. I'm doing small things to make you happy, you know?
I think breadcrumbing. Blah, 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 blah,
Sure.
Blah. No, I mean, I was going to say that there are other terms that would fit, but I think breadcrumbing is very apt.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah. Do you have anything else you would add about that?
I think we've...
Yeah. I mean, breadcrumbing is bad. It's awful. It's manipulative.
Right.
I think that it will absolutely have you second guess yourself of, wait, am I being ungrateful? Am I not being understanding enough to the person who's breadcrumbing you?
Yeah.
It'll make you question what you understand to be the reality of your relationship, which for me puts it kind of on the edge of gaslighting. The small things matter, and sometimes you forget how much they matter until they're not there. But yeah, I would say just understand the difference in breadcrumbing. There's no foundation. There's words about a foundation. There's promises of a foundation. There's no foundation in the relationships. Small things are sprinkled on top of the base that already exists and is attempting to function. Yeah. And I do think many, not all, but many people already, by the time you get to a point where you are writing a 500-word essay to me about the state of your relationship and you're ending after you've written all of these things that are like just genuinely awful, and you get to the very last line and you go, is this normal, or am I right to think there's something wrong with this, right? Like by the time you ask me that question, you actually already know the answer. Go back and read what you wrote. This is not me saying don't message us or email us. Like, feel free. But I think in my experience, most of the people I've talked to about this, they know. There's some their gut, their instinct, their whatever is telling them, and they aren't ready to believe it yet.
They may not know it consciously, but unconsciously they know that there's
exactly. You know, I go back to, if a friend came to you and told you all of this, what would you tell that friend? Let's attempt to treat ourselves even half as well as we treat our friends. We would still be treating ourselves better than we do otherwise. So yeah. I'm sure there's more we could say. I have run out of steam. I think many of us understand the concept of breadcrumbing, even if the term is new. Like, I knew at the moment, oh yeah, been there, done that. I've certainly, before I met you and before I was, like, I understood I was kinky and submissive, but I hadn't, like, done anything with it. I met a couple of guys who did the string me along thing. It ended up being okay for me in the sense, it wasn't good, it wasn't right, but I wasn't like torn apart by it because I was desperate to keep things casual anyway. I was not trying to be in a relationship. So they actually probably put more effort in than I even needed them to, because I didn't care as much as they thought I did. But I can look back on it and go, oh yeah, that's what they were doing. Yeah, I mean, if you're having to beg for somebody's attention, and that just so that when you finally get it, you're just super grateful for it, and then it vanishes again. Breadcrumbing. So if you're curious about any of the things that we found that talk about them, we have linked them in the places. The reel that inspired this conversation is linked in the places, plus 2 resources that defined breadcrumbing well enough that I went, yes, I don't think you're a stupid piece of content. Those are linked as well. And then if you would like to ask us a question, or check in to get a gut check from somebody outside of a situation that may or may not become a mini little podcast episode kind of thing, or video, there is a link where you can ask us questions through our website, and it will come to us as an email, and ta-da. And yeah, don't forget, Friday, September 15th, the day this podcast episode goes live on podcast apps, we are doing a live stream at 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
I think that's it.
So are we good?
I don't know.
Keep it kinky, y'all.
What the fuck? Dottie.
Yes.
first of all, before I ask the question, I always thought that the signal was the inhale. The timing was off on the inhale. The timing was so off on the inhale. Were you even breathing? Because I audibly inhaled because I'm like, well, he needs bionic ears to even hear me. So he, are we that off from one another still? Now that I've got that off my chest.
Okay.
Can I talk to the crickets, please?
Yes, you may talk to the
Thank you.
crickets.
Are we doing an emoji of the week? Yes. Do they have a bread, like a slice of toast or a piece of bread emoji?
I don't know.
If they do, that's what I would want this week's emoji to be.
Let's see.
So yeah, what have we got for the bonus section? See, Silent Wing in the live chat did a little loaf of bread.
Okay,
Maybe if you type bread,
yep.
the emoji will come up. For anybody who's like, how do we find bread? A bread emoji. Just type this. See, you've got several to choose from.
Three different kinds. Got the baguette.
The loaf.
The loaf.
And what's that? Is that a croissant?
No, it looks like a bagel.
Oh, a bagel. No. So yeah, we were gone last week. As you could tell from part of today's conversation, it had been rough. It is less rough now.
Yes.
You got a little testy with me today, and we managed to resolve it within a minute.
Yeah.
Which that's a good sign.
Yes.
That's a very good sign. We've had deep, meaningful conversations.
Mm-hmm. We've been spending more time with one another.
Yes. That is in retrospect, that's an easy sign.
Yeah.
When you're in this office up until it's time to go to bed and I'm on the couch and never the twain shall meet, that's a sign.
Yeah.
We are working on some plans and things to make sure that, yes, we're willing to work hard towards our goals, but that, maybe we actually enjoy it while we're on the way there. Mm-hmm. So that's been good and important. The 13-year-old is now the 14-year-old.
Yes,
his birthday was last Sunday.
Celebrated the birthday last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Low-key birthday. He was like, Mom, I mostly want to spend the weekend lying down in my bed in a dark room just doing what I want to do. And I went, you know what? You can mostly just do that. You have a good time. Saw the 18-year-old the weekend prior. So Labor Day, Labor Day, actually.
That was Labor Day weekend, yeah.
And then I'm supposed to go this weekend. He's like, well, I need to go grocery shopping. Will you come go grocery shopping with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'm going to be doing meal prep. And I was thinking, he's watched some videos or seen something. He's got an idea in his head. So I was like, so what are you planning on meal prepping? Because it's lunch that's like a struggle for him right now. And he's like, I don't know. Do you have any ideas? So then I gave him a handful of ideas because I was thinking about what he likes to eat, what he might be willing to do, and this teeny tiny little kitchen that he shares with 3 other people. And I was like, and space and cost. And I came up with a bunch of really good ideas. Maybe I should meal prep for us. I don't know. And the response I got back was, okay, whatever, my dude.
It's okay.
Whatever, my dude. So yeah, we did that. Lola's been good.
Yeah.
I have got to call the place that gives her a bath and does her nails.
Yeah.
She's so over. Her nails are so long.
Yeah, her nails are definitely.
Onyx has become a little needy baby who just follows us around, meowing at us in an accusatory tone,
like a little puppy dog.
I know, but she's still definitely a cat because if you don't pet her the right way, she's not having it.
Right.
That's about it. It's been we've been focused on us.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because we had not been prior. I don't know. It's mostly been work. I mean, we're going into fourth quarter and that's our put our head down and just barrel through kind of time frame. you know, life has been stressful because life is always stressful. And this stress has almost eaten us alive over the past, 2.5, 3 years?
Yeah.
And we have probably struggled more in our relationship over the past 2.5, 3 years than at any other time before. I feel like we actually did a better job of staying focused and as a team when your sister was sick all those years ago. And we had not been in the relationship as long as we've been in now. Like,
True.
we were still early days. And we did better then than we had done, the past couple years.
Yeah.
But we come back to one another.
We do.
It explodes in our faces, and then I think we do it individually. We remind ourselves, hey, wait, I actually still like this person. Let's go repair it. So, yeah.
Yeah, me, I have been working, dove into just heading the shop, getting ready, making as much things as can. We did the Woodshed is having their holiday extravaganza.
We have applied.
We have applied. We don't know if we're in yet, but
that'll be November 18th.
Right, but we're working as if we'll
get in.
We are. I learned this morning that I cannot tell the difference between rose gold and orange.
I know. Well, that rose gold is. I wish they had not labeled it rose gold. The color that we use, the mica, because it's really like a coral to me. To me, it's not, because there's And yeah, so we're doing something with the Kinkery.com that is Halloween themed. Hopefully in the next week, but we'll see. Before October starts.
Yeah.
Should be ready and available. Limited edition situation. Some of which are orange, as one would expect for the Halloween thing. And JB was so proud of himself. He's like, "Oh my God, I've got all these handles turned. All I got to do is start gluing up. It's going to be amazing."
I started working on these.
And it wasn't the orange ones.
Come Monday, and I just put my nose to the grindstone with these because my goal was to have these things done and ready for her for the shop by this weekend. And yesterday, I was so close to being done.
I know you were feeling so good.
And I was feeling so good. And I just pushed through. I mean, I worked right up till dinner.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Worked right up till dinner yesterday to have these things done so I could hand them all off to her by Friday night.
I burst that bubble this morning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Because when you had shown them to me, my brain had gone, oh, the orange ones. They came out more metallic-y than we thought they would, which is what we were going for.
Yeah.
I was like, these are beautiful. And then I saw them in contrast to the actual orange thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no.
Something wrong here, Raggy.
Right. And so here's just the type of person I am. Is it part of being submissive? Is it just, I don't know. Is it my wiring? I don't know. You were so disappointed. I wished I could swallow those words back, and I was like looking around, going, "How do I fix it? How do I fix it?" And I can't.
Nothing can fix it.
I was like, I'm walking around going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that to him. I didn't do shit." I found the oopsies.
I mean, yeah, I was devastated because I had worked so hard for this.
You had been so proud of yourself,
I was like, last night when I came in, I was dead ass tired on my feet, but I was like, I did this. I got this to the point that I know I can have this by the weekend, all of it. And
did it add like an extra day, at least?
At least, if not more.
It will all work out, and hopefully, our idea will work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all you're getting about that.
Right.
We'll talk about it when it's actually ready. And if it works, then we do a holiday version. Yeah. So that's what we've been doing. I've been, running the 14-year-old here, there, and yonder for appointments, and just doing a lot of mom stuff.
Yeah.
And then work stuff takes up, professional stuff takes up the rest of my time. And so then it's like, I got my hair done. Podcast listeners, you can't see, but if you come look at any part of a live stream, you'll see it's a purpley pink color. And it was 4.5 hours in the chair to go from the turquoise to this. And I told, when I was booking my next appointment, I told the person who does my hair, I'm like, yeah, I know usually my next appointment, I do roots and all. I said, well, I'm going into fourth quarter. I do not have time for that. I cannot give you 4.5 hours. I said, we're going to refresh the color and leave my roots alone next time. And she just looked at me. I said, I know I'm going to hate that, but I do not have time. And that's kind of my mantra of, I do not have time. I have time for these few things.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we got a whole week of like no humidity, and I was like, ooh, I could go for a walk, and my brain went, you don't have time. I'm like, I would like to look at a new hobby. My brain's like, you don't have time. I just don't have time.
I hate to say it because I know the reason behind us having that no humidity.
I know.
I mean,
I don't want another storm to come through.
It was wonderful when we here received no damage from Idalia, and I know so many people were. For us, all it did was suck all the humidity out of the air.
I know.
And we had a week with actually, decent.
It was pleasant to walk outside.
It was pleasant to be outside.
And then the humidity came back.
And Monday morning, it came back with a vengeance.
It actually feels worse. And I don't know if it just feels worse because we went a week without it or if it's like legit worse. But yeah, we're breathing through cotton when you walk out the door. So.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we're working on ourselves as a couple.
Yeah.
So that we don't go through that again.
No.
And we're taking care of family and business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what we're doing.
Yep.
So. That's all. Like, I don't feel like I have anything.
Yeah.
For once, and for maybe only these like 5 minutes, it's relatively quiet in my head. It won't stay that way. Yeah, give it about 20 minutes. It will change, but the winds will shift.
Yes, they do.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, then
I guess we'll go.
Say goodbye.
Bread, toast, whatever it looks like to you, is our emoji of the week. We will be live streaming Friday, September 15th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be back next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.